We are in Switzerland at the world headquarters of Nagra, Audio Technology Switzerland. And they also service Nespresso machines. I think that's interesting. I didn't know that. Do you really do that?
Yeah, Pascal, the CEO, owns a second business.
Oh, that's interesting. Okay. And in we go. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Welcome to Nagra. How are you?
I'm good. I'm still here.
Hello, Michael.
How are you?
Yeah, good, and you?
Good to see you. I survived my trip. It's been great.
So welcome to Nagra.
Thank you so
My
much.
pleasure to have you here.
It's great to be
It's
here.
the first time you were visiting us.
Yes. Wow, look at that. It's official. I was at the gym this morning, so I'm feeling pretty good. So now we're going to get the Nagra story from the beginning.
From the beginning.
Yes.
I'm Pascal Moreau, I'm the CEO of Audio Technology Switzerland. So what I will tell today is a little bit the story of the beginning, what started the company before the 50s. And in fact, Stefan Kudelski flew from Poland during the war and went to France. And after that, during the occupation of the Nazi in France, he had to escape also from France and went to Switzerland in Geneva, where he started his studies. And as a student, he loved physics, and he started electronic, but electronic didn't exist at the time. So,
And how old was he at that time?
He was
a student, so
he
20s?
was 16, 17. When he really started to think, and he developed. He was thinking during this time to create a computerized system or something like a computer to manage milling machines or turning machines, because Switzerland was very famous for that, to do CNC machine.
Yeah.
And it was before that processors, etc., exists.
Yeah, there were no computers.
No,
at that,
there were no
really.
computer.
Yeah.
So his idea was that, but there were no really big, easy memory at the time. So he was asking himself, how can he store so many data? And so he saw that during the war, the tape has been developed.
Yep.
So he said it could be a great way to store data. And so he started to study how to manage to make a device that could store data on a tape.
But as binary code, I mean, that had as zeros and ones, or
I don't know exactly. I think it was more analog at the time. I can imagine.
He wanted to use the reel as a memory for the milling machine.
Exactly. But it was. I think it was analog. When we
Yes,
started.
it was completely analog.
Yeah.
And but he had no money as a student, so he said, "What can I store? Or I can as data on a tape that I could maybe sell in the future, so I can continue to develop my inventions." And basically, he said, "Okay, the sound could be a great machine. I could record sound." And so after that, I can sell this machine, and I can sell my invention also to the Swiss companies that are making the milling machine, so this mechanical machine. So when he went to see these companies, the companies started to laugh about it and said, oh, "My dear students, you are a young guy, you don't understand anything about machines, and CNC will never exist. You know, we are making mechanical machine. We don't want to put tubes inside of this kind of machines." So he came back with his invention. He was a little bit, he had a deception, and he tried to go to the radio to sell his machine. But at the time, the radio, they had to make sound record. There were a big truck with two sound engineers, plus a guy to record or to the reporter or the interviewer. So when he presented this invention, the engineer said, no, you will not pass. It's too dangerous for our job.
Yeah, of course.
So, of course. So he didn't know how to make it happen. So he saw that there were a competition that were organized by a radio, a competition to find the new reporters of the future. So he said, I will apply for this competition, I will do it. And he won, because he made records that were nearly impossible to make at the time. He went to Paris, to the Bourdon Notre Dame, and he made a special record there, where he was on the top, directly on the bell, so that nearly nobody could do at the time because you had to have a track with cables and everything, so it was nearly impossible. So he made it, and he won, and he could present directly to the directors, to the direction of the companies, his device, and this is where it could happen, and he could start to sell, to make the company. And he was so afraid that it was only one success that he didn't want to give his name on the company, Kudelski name. So he said in Polish, I will record, it's Nagra. So he said, I will call my company Nagra. I will record. And this is how it started with Nagra, with this recorder that he started the company. And finally, he developed the rest, what Marguerite said to you before.
What a great story that is.
But right now we'd like to show you the analog, the newer analog part, the turntable and the HD phono. And it's that way, please.
Okay.
Your presentation was so good.
It was fun.
You were in Montreux, so you are already familiar with the festival, and its founder, Claude Knops, was a member of our board and a good friend to the Kudelski family. So we decided to pay a tribute to him and name our listening room after his name. And Claude Knops was a great friend, of course, of music, but also kind of a geek. So he knew a lot about the new things, and it was very nice to have him to challenge us.
Good combination. This is your wall of awards.
Yes,
some of them,
and we are happy, very honored to receiving them, and we have some of our recordings also. Not this one, unfortunately.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, what's the connection with Tears for Fears?
I'm a big fan of Bob Clearmountain, and you know he mixed Women in Chains.
Yeah.
And I'm a drummer, and I'm a fan of Phil Collins as well. So,
okay.
It's more, it's for me to know where he is all the time. And we also want to show some products that are today discontinued, but that we used to love and we don't forget. So,
So yes, this is the new HD phono that you saw in Munich. So you have input transformer that you can have 20 dB or 26 dB of gain. After that you go to EF806 microphone tube, and you have a few other gain stage. So you can reach 70 dB of gain, full tube, and you have a function at the front with the impedance, let's say 35, 50, 60, and you can go very high. So it's pretty cool because you can do on the remote.
You can access it from the front end by remote as well.
Yes. You have other curve also. There's many input at the back, so you can have more than one input for phono, and everything is as direct as possible. So on the turntable, you have the cartridge. You go on a silver wire from crystal cable, and you go directly to the back of the phono stage without any connection. And we have an option if you need to have XLR. You can go through a limo and have XLR input with balance. I want to show you, I think I showed you in Munich, but it's not on video. Let's say you have here it's a bouncy floor because we are on second floor and on a factory, so it's not like a solid concrete. So you can move, dance, the woofer will not move. And there's nothing happening.
And how is that, a pneumatic suspension? What is it?
It is spring, it's hydraulic spring with silicone oil, but it's the weight of the floating chassis and the fact that it's large. So it's about 3 Hertz, the isolation. So you never see the woofer moving from the floor or from the subwoofer or from anything. So the resolution is much higher. If you compare with other concept and prototype we did, you can reach a really high resolution sound. The tone arms also.
Let me just say something before for the viewers. This is a prototype of the turntable. We have two right now running in Montreux, so we had to take the original one. So the parts are really not finished and nice as they should be. So just.
How many of these are you planning to make?
We will make 70 of them. They are numbered, and so that's about 100 with the distributor's versions. Later on, we'll continue with a regular called reference production, not the anniversary, and this one.
Oh, so this is 70 anniversary issues, but you'll continue making.
It will be slightly different in terms of aesthetics.
Right.
Sonically would be identical, but the anniversary is just 70.
Okay.
So I can show, maybe some people don't know about the platter, so we can show also the watch style of it that is unique for the 70th anniversary. So there's only 70 that will be built that way. The platter is Exium. Maybe if Mathieu, you can explain what is Exium.
Yeah, Exium is a metal alloy that was made by a French school called Les Mines for the European Center Agency for Space, like the NASA, and it was used on the InSight mission to Mars by the NASA. So it's a metal that is very it doesn't have vibration. It's some kind of quality for vibration, and you will show you the same one in aluminium. We made a lot of different tests on different material. The one in aluminium will ring because it's aluminium, like a metallophone is made of aluminium plates. This one doesn't. So, and it has also a very high density. So we have weight distribution around the platter.
Right. And
this this material is not new, but we are the first audio company to use it. And we also have exclusivity on that for audio application.
And it was really interesting because if you compare with copper and other popular thing for platter, if you compare by sound, it don't sound dead, or you don't kill the music. So
right.
This was we did many tests, and it was so good that we use also inside the cartridge.
That's the real test, is not to overdamp it so you kill the music, and not to underdamp it so all these extraneous vibrations come through and muddy the sound. But that's a listening thing as much as anything, and that's critical.
I think the work on R&D work on that turntable was 50-50. Usually on electronic, maybe it's 70 technically and 30 for listening tests. On the turntable, there was no choice. Sometimes we think it will be better, we test it, and the worst thing that we think it will work did work better. So
yeah. And every material that you put into a turntable makes a difference. Everything.
Yes. So on the controller here, you can change the speed directly like this. You can have here plus or minus, so you can lower or have more speed directly, or you can put back to reference. That is a crystal that you can fine tune, or that is a factory set. There's a few features.
Now, is this a dedicated stand, or is this someone else's stand that you're using?
You will see the kind of the stand we did for it with Modulum in Montreux. We have two tables there with the stand.
So what do you have in Montreux? You have a display there, or?
Yes, maybe Mathieu, you can explain more.
Yeah, because of the unique history of Nagra and Montreux, we have one turntable with a full Nagra classic phono, classic preamp in the room called the library. It's in the lake house, and they have the whole collection of records made from Montreux concert. So they made more than 5,000 concerts over the years. They released about 400 something LPs. There was also CD, DVD, Blu-ray, and so on. And they have this collection united in a room called the library, and it's open 5 p.m. to 5 a.m.
Oh.
And you can go and ask, can I listen to Bill Evans in '68? Yes, you can. And
somebody who works there will operate the turntable.
Absolutely. So Kerry had the very difficult task to educate some people that never saw a turntable on how to use it. It was kind of a scary adventure, I guess.
And did it work?
Yeah.
Do they know?
They were young people.
Do they like it?
They like it. Some were trepidatious, but others just dived right in because it's the cool thing.
And do you show them how to clean the stylus too? Every once
didn't go
in
that
a while.
far.
You got to do that, man. I go to people's homes and they go, "It's not sounding as good as it sounded when you first put it in for me." And then I take a little microscope and put it on the stylus, and you don't even see the stylus anymore. It's like encrusted over.
I've seen some of your articles.
You know why? Because they take the record out like this with their fingertips. And then the grease gets on the outside of the record, and then the stylus hits the grease, and then the dirt attracts to the stylus with the grease, and then the heat bakes it on.
We did talk about that, and we'll go over routinely and clean the stylus and check on the turntable, make sure everything's running right.
I'm very fastidious about that.
Yeah.
And we have a second turntable.
Yeah.
In the place called the Vinyl Bar, and it's manned by Fred Fathio, which is. You want to say a few words, or you?
Well, go ahead, man.
Fred is a journalist. He is a music lover. He has a huge record collection, not as big as yours, but he gathered with a friend. They had like 35,000 records. They made a 3,000 ideal collection that they like of any style, and it's a vinyl bar, a bit like in Japan, you know. So the people can come and say, "Oh, can I listen to rap or can I listen to jazz?" And they will say, "Yeah, you have this there." And there we also have a turntable. And it's crazy because it's a house they built just for the festival for 2 weeks. So the floor is like very, very flexible, so you can see the spring working very well. And you'll get to see that later on.
Yeah, great. Okay.
Sure.
Now, what else have you got in this system? You want to run me through the whole system?
Yeah, so the prototype of the future HD phono that we'll release later this year. So we've been working on that project almost 4 years. You want to
Now, the step-up transformer that's in there, is that you wind that yourselves, or you have it wound for you?
We have a winding facility that you'll see later on in the visit. This is part really of the strength of Nagra. This is a legacy from the heads, and also doing coils and transformers, power transformer we used to do. We do all the audio transformers.
Yeah, that's good.
You will see on the menu, you can access to the transformer if you want dB 20 or 26 dB. So with the cartridge, we have a 4 ohm and a 6 ohm. The 4 ohm will sound better with the matching impedance.
Now, this is your own cartridge?
Yes, Nagra. It's brand new, will be released at the fall. It used the Exium, the same material than the platter. Again, we try many solutions. Sometimes it was so analytical, so bright. Sometimes it was kind of dull. So we had, yes, we will try the Exium, and everything happened. And also we did work a lot on the motor. So we have 9 Hz resonance, and the tracking is exceptional. You can have all the test discs and have no issue on the beginning, middle, or at the end of the LP. The tracking is really perfect. You have no sense of distortion. There's a magnetic anti-skating on the tone arms here that you can adjust. You just need to put a little.
So what is the cantilever a boron cantilever, or what is it?
It is a sapphire.
Sapphire.
Yes. It's weird because we really choose everything by ear.
Yeah.
So I'm sure you can work with other design. On that design, it was more, let's say you listen to an orchestra, the purity of all the string and the flute and everything was more beautiful, more depth. With rock music, it was more dynamic. There's no sense of metal in the sound.
And the stylus profile is...
This I'm not sure of the name, but it's pretty kind of standard for high-end cartridge. But I don't know the name.
Agora or Namiki are the two Japanese.
I can come back to you about this. Yes, but also we make sure to don't lose the energy. So you have the silver coil of the cartridge that have only a few turn because it's 4 ohm. And after that, you go directly to a very big silver cable directly at the motor without any, you will see at the R&D a picture of it. So you don't lose energy. And it's the same thing with the cable inside the tone arms. We did many tests, and pure OCC silver give us the energy, transparency, that we don't lose the signal. So, yeah.
Excellent.
So we have the HD preamp. That is a very big success for Nagra. When you use the volume, it's a transformer that you change. But to be able to don't hear anything in the speaker, you have at the same time a transistor preamp just when you touch it, and you go back to the transformer with tube when you don't touch it. You can also change, let's say you want to have different dB from one channel to the other, you can change it or go back normal. So this is, there's many advantage of this. We have balanced output by transformer. We have the volume by the same transformer. And so you have just one tube per channel with the volume transformer. So the signal path is only few parts, but when you see inside, it's full of parts because of high voltage power supply, a lot of decoupling, big capacitor, but it's really high-end, very small circuit. And
The advantage of the transformer is that left and right are strictly identical. You can never do that with resistors or with potentiometers. All the gear is the first HD system, like in Munich was the first time we had the full HD. So HD phono, HD DACs converter, HD preamp, and the lower shelves are the power supply. So every unit has a separate power supply in an isolated chassis for vibration control.
It's all super cap. We have, again, for the turntable and the unit, you have reserve inside the machine, because what made Nagra unique long time ago, let's say you listen to a recording done on a Nagra 4S, and it's a little machine and the sound is amazing. It's one of the reasons is because there was battery directly close to all the electronic. So this is the same idea. On the turntable, we have a very big HD supercap power supply, but inside the turntable, we also have a lot of reserve of supercap just beside the motor. And when you do the test with and without, it's really night and day. You feel that it's really more depth, more stable, the speed is more lock. So this is one of things that Nagra do that make it special. The HD amp have only 6 MOSFET per channel, but a very large transformer. It's 1600 VA. And again, the circuit is very small. So you have, maybe you hear in Munich, you have a very dynamic sound of 400 or 600 watt, but with only 6 MOSFET, not 24 transistor or 48 transistor. So when it's well matched with the speaker, it's an amp that can drive. It was built to drive any load, and I think it might be the only one in the world that can drive very difficult speaker and having so little parts, like a very short circuit.
Well, the speaker that you used in Munich goes down to 1 ohm at certain parts of the frequency range, and most of it's at 2 to 4 ohms max. And so, and you were in a big room, and it filled the room, and the sound was incredible in that room. Everybody came out of that room like, they can't see my face, but
yes,
people were dazed.
And also for rock music, it was very loud, like to pressurize a 100 feet room by 60 by 50.
Yeah, the AC/DC sent some people out of the room. Oh no. They went running for Diana Krall in another room, and I'm okay with that. That's fine.
But the one that was excited was really excited. Let me show you the inside of the... This is the HD preamp.
Do you want some light?
Yes, yes. So this is the transformer that will change the volume. So you have a lot of relays to select the right tap of the volume. And this is the circuit. This is the audio circuit. The rest is high voltage power supply, reserve, and you have an external power supply. So this is a very high-end tube to have very low impedance. The impedance will be about 1 ohm at the output, so you can drive long interconnect or drive any other brand of amp, or no problem.
This is also a prototype. Normally all the boards are gold. Yeah?
This is a prototype.
Yeah,
Yeah.
this is a prototype. We're doing some tests. So the gold, what you see is a gold layer they use for grounding. So all the small squares, it's like a ground protection. So, and normally all our PCBs are like that.
So we can go to R&D.
Be careful with the small step. Small step again.
It's the noisy factory floor.
That's where we do the parties.
Oh.
So this is the R&D. We don't always film here. I guess Kerry explained you why, because of the security business.
So you don't want me to? You don't want me?
No,
to,
you can, and eventually maybe we can review it if we see
Sure.
anything we should not.
Of course.
Normally we kind of hide the things we should not show. Let me guide you. So gentlemen, Michael Fremer.
Hello.
If you need an
Hi.
introduction.
Hi.
Leonard, Stefan, Thiago, Nicolas. And the boss is here, Thierry. C'est tellement rangé, j'ai du mal à...
Hello,
How do you do?
Thierry, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
So maybe you met each other in Munich briefly.
Yes,
or-
briefly, yeah.
That's just an insane place to meet anybody. You know,
Yeah.
this is much
So
less
welcome
insane.
here. I was working on a new amplifier board, and I will just show you a bit what I'm doing now. Here you can see the schematics. This is where you choose and you put all the components you want on the board, and then you have to connect them together, so with the wires. And from that you come to a real board here, where you have to arrange the components physically where you want to be on the board.
So when you arrange these, you can like click on one of these parts and move it around. And
Yes, exactly. So you can
yeah, it's a lot easier now than it was in the old days, right?
yeah, and you can see the connection I draw on the schematics keeps connecting the components together here.
Now the left channel sounds less good than the right channel.
And now I have to wire this with real copper, so I will put some copper layers here. It's already drawn, so I'll just show you the results now. This is everything is drawn by hands. There is no automatic process. So that's kind of knowledge.
And what is this going to be?
This will be an amplifier board, and we pay a lot attention of how the current flows on the copper, and we have some tools which helps seeing that. I will show you a result I just done here. This is how the current flows from the power supplies coming here, how it goes through the diodes, then to a power MOSFET, and it goes through here to a connector going next to the loudspeaker.
So how long does it take to go from an idea to a layout to producing boards to putting something together and then releasing a product? How is that, years?
Depending on the products, it could be from 1 month to 6 months or years, depending on the complexity of the product.
Yeah.
And from that I can see and adjust something to get the better quality. And when everything is correct on the computer, we have to build a prototype, and then we do some measurements and listening as well, and we have to validate all this theory. And if something goes wrong by listening or on the measurements, we come back to the computer, make some modifications.
So is your first version on a breadboard, all hand wired?
This one is the first one, yeah.
Yeah.
It's currently under building. We have to assemble it soon.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Hi.
Hi there.
Hello. Here
What's going on here?
we designed this board in front of for the front panel. It handles all the inputs of the device. So the goal is to be robust of any kind of monkey test of the user.
So this is the preamp that's
That's the phono stage that we had in the
the phono stage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. Exactly. And one of the most important thing of this device is that this keyboard, which is digital, is completely separated electrically from the behind, which is 100% analogic. So we isolated with opto-isolator between them. So the goal here is to make it work and to have really good feeling with the phone panel. This kind of feeling and touch, which
Now the boards are stuffed elsewhere
Yeah.
for you.
We don't do the board. It's chemical to do the boards, and populating the board you need huge machines that
Yep.
we don't have.
Yep.
We put the very special condenser that are custom made for us that anyway you can't put by a machine. But the small parts they're by machines.
yeah, actually the PCB is built somewhere else, but all the design is done here.
And some of this is surface mount or no surface mount, or
Few of them, especially maybe in the control panel, you have more of them.
which is fine. I have no prejudice against surface mount technology. It's like people have these ridiculous ideas about things.
Well, Nagra was the first brand to use surface mount component in the 70s, early 70s,
Right.
in the SN, to make it more miniature. So this is something we know very well how to handle. And once it will have charged, you can see the settings you can control either by the front panel or by the remote are very extensive, because we really wanted the customer to find the right match for his cartridge, or also for the curves to really
Without
fit
having
the
to
curves.
open things up and
Exactly.
and hassle.
Well,
with
yeah.
things.
And be able to change your charge on your sofa,
Yeah.
and be able to compare the sound on your sofa and
Yeah.
change charge, what is not the case for a lot of products. So that's really important.
So
It takes much.
It looks simple to do it, but it takes some months
Oh, I'm
to
sure.
do the
Oh
software.
yeah.
Sure, it's programming software and making sure it's reliable. I mean,
Exactly. That's the
yeah.
point. Make it reliable. It takes time to make things reliable.
Did
And
you talk about the optical?
Yeah, I talked right before. That's
So the low
one of
noise.
the main feature of the device.
To have a very low noise from the digital controller that control all the function and the full tube analog circuit. So you need to have separate power supply, and it's optical. So there's no ground link between.
Not link
analog.
at all. Nothing.
Yeah.
Electrically, completely different. So that's one of the most important, because here we talk about under microvolts.
Yeah.
So it's really a big dynamic, and so you have to be careful about what this phone panel can generate in terms of noise, etc.
So
And we take a lot.
So how long was it to develop this product? When you started it and when it's finally finished, was it years in the making?
4 years. But okay, it's not. We have also other projects, so it's never full time on it. But
Right.
we started 4 years ago.
You can
Because
see
it's only phonograph. It's not important.
And it's a product. We don't always have the right remote before the product is finished, but in this case we have.
Oh, that's nice.
So you can change all the settings there.
I'll just take that as a souvenir if
Oh,
I
yeah.
visit.
You can. It's okay.
That's nice. That's
we have some.
And that's a finished product, so it's
Yeah,
that
yeah.
light and
Yeah, it's light and classy.
very
classy.
nice.
Very nice. It looks good.
So we didn't want to have more comfort at the cost of sound. So the quality of the sound was the first concern, and comfort is just additional, which is I think a nice feature.
So what is going on here?
It's my job to program this PCB.
Oh, so this is a programming.
Exactly. It's
I
program.
see.
It's with probe, and we make a lot of tests right now to make it
Now
better.
this has not been released yet. This product.
Not yet. No, it will
When
come
do
at
you
the
think
end
it's-
of around the end of the year, the first units.
So it could be a Christmas present, maybe, or
Yeah,
to somebody.
definitely. Should put that on the list.
And you want to make sure that when someone gets it as a Christmas present and they hook it up, that all these things light up the right way and nothing.
Exactly. And if you see something, let me know.
And what happens if
Because it
something
won't-
goes wrong? Do they fire you, or do you get to stay here?
Depends, but usually we correct as soon as possible the bug, because it can happen. But I make it really important for me to make release this without any bugs. I know anything. That's the big challenge, and it's the big challenge even in the industry. It's always a challenge to not have any bugs, even if you do what I like to do, the monkey test. You know, you do that, you off, you pour on, you don't.
You want to treat it like the customer does.
Exactly.
Abuse the product.
Abuse all the time.
Maybe the kid.
And this.
Kid or the wife, maybe.
You bring in
The kid.
you bring young people in there. Yeah.
Exactly. And it must not freeze or anything. That's what I like, actually. It's something you rely on.
Of course, I like looking at this.
It's the same as this.
So, are you the mechanical guy?
I'm the multi hats guy.
I
Can do mechanics, electronics, software.
Both.
Yeah.
And so you worked on this turntable?
Yeah.
And how long have you been working on this turntable?
3 years.
3 years.
Yeah.
What took you so long?
We wanted to do the best.
You want to be good. Okay, well, that's good. And you were also involved in the cartridge design.
Yes, I'm doing the design of the full cartridge.
And what stylus profile is attached to that sapphire?
This is a sapphire.
Sapphire cantilever. And what's the stylus? Do you know? I hope you know.
Special.
It's nice that you can do that.
You can see everything inside.
This is the cable I told you about that is attached to the cable, so you don't lose energy. As soon as possible, you have big wire.
And this is all done in-house. This cartridge is completely your design.
No, we do the design, but we make it build. All the mechanical parts are not machined inside.
Right, but for you, but it's your design.
Can you show the axiom part?
Yeah.
So axiom here is really used almost like in the NASA probe as some kind of socket, isolation socket.
This is it. So it's the interface with the tonearm and the magnet here. So here, if I go back, I remove this is a kind of a super magnesium part.
Magnesium.
Yeah. And all the magnet is fixed on the axiom part.
Don't show too many things.
It's okay. You can black them out in the editing process. That's a big task to take on, is to design a cartridge from.
Yeah.
I don't like to use the word scratch around cartridges, so I won't use the word scratch, but to design it from the ground up.
Yeah.
It is.
And for
Almost
a
1 year.
For a very long time, the resonance was from 8 to about 16 hertz, and we cannot know how to do to really reach it. And it was a bit by mistake that we found how to do it to have lower resonance.
Because a lot of people would just say, well, there's a lot of cartridge makers out there. We'll just get one to take one of theirs and put our name on it. But you didn't do that.
We did like many things about some. I don't want to name brand, but you like the timbre of that one, you like the resolution of that one. But the main problem is it was not matched for the tone arms, it was not matched for the phono. So it's a complete solution from the cartridge to the speaker. So everything is matched, the impedance is matched, the gain is matched. So you don't need to mess around with maybe I should do that or so we try many other reference cartridge, and this one was more studio sound. It really sounds more master tape, so it's a bit less hi-fi. It's kind of more the real thing for us, but
Okay.
We want to show you the difference between the axiom and the aluminium. If you can you do the demo on the mic?
So this is the aluminium part.
Right.
It's kind of lightweight. You see, if you want to take it.
And if you ting this, does it? Yeah.
It's really
like
resonant.
TD 125.
This is an axiom part.
And this is made out of your special material
Yeah.
from outer space.
Yeah.
Okay.
No.
And oh, big difference.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we tried a lot of different materials there. Before we did the exam, we also tried different options. And also, like, it's always the same philosophy we have. It's theoretical work, and then it's usually simulation, computer simulation, test, measurements, and then listening, and then if we're not happy, we come back, and we do it as many times as needed. And I think in the case like the Cartridge, it's the 15th version we are doing. So why it took time also, because it's every time a few weeks to do it. And we really want the end result to be assessed by listening. Even if eventually we don't expect this material to be the right, because measuring is a bit less good, but hearing is what we are here
It's
for.
a tuned system. That's what people don't
Tune system.
have to remember. It's always a tuned system. So you can't put in the numbers and be done and say, oh, it's totally damped, so it's going to be good. Because,
Exactly.
you know.
And maybe we can just show you, because we talk about the super cap in the turntable, and if we show you what's underneath here, that people don't get to see, unfortunately, but this is a super cap model, so it's packed with super caps.
You don't see the
You-
condenser.
they're on the they're on the inside.
They're on the inside, and so the energy is really extremely close to the motors, to where we need it. We don't need a huge energy, of course, but still, it's here, it's available.
And the bearing that's in there is you designed and it made for you by a super machining place.
Yeah, the bearing, yeah, absolutely. So we have different partners to. We used to do everything in house in the days of the analog recorders.
Yeah.
We really just bought raw material. We even do the screws at that time. Of course, today it's a bit different.
Yeah.
We try to insource as much as we can, but some people are really specialized and do extremely good job.
Of course.
And why not using them?
You hear that from consumers. Oh, they don't make it all themselves. That's the thing. You mean Ferrari buys tires from Pirelli or wherever they get them from? Why don't they make their own tires? Well,
They do it right.
exactly.
Nice to
Thank you.
The production.
Okay, so this is the assembling and lab.
Good morning. Good afternoon.
Mario.
Hi. Hello, Mario.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
So what you will see, and it's not arranging a chronology of building the products, because we extend here and there. So you'll see different parts that are not really the product is not built like that. But anyway, here it's called the lab. So the lab is where we do a lot of testing. And Mario, maybe you want to say a few words about what you have.
What we do is when the machine is assembled, then the machine comes to us to the electronic test, and then we do the first power on. Then we put the power supplies, and then we start doing all the tests to see if the machine is working fine. Then we have generators, analyzers, oscilloscopes,
Sure.
in order to follow a procedure that we established to see if everything is working.
So this is actually a finished product that once it passes all the tests, it gets boxed up and sent out.
Not yet, not
Right.
yet. This is the first power on.
Okay.
Then after that there is what we call the burning
Burn
test.
test, yeah.
Burning test. After the burning test, we do the final test, which is really each machine has a procedure with the different measurements for each machine, and then the final test is the subjective or the listening test.
Oh, yeah. Actually, each piece gets listened to.
Yes, yes. We have a room which is built to listen, not really like the client, but to detect the problems,
Right.
and then goes to the
Wow.
client. Yeah.
How long does it take to go from the first time you test it, the burn-in, the listen again, and then the listening test to packing? Is it long?
The whole test, I would say 3-4 years, 4 years, days.
Oh, I was going to say.
Not really the testing
But just the whole process.
is
I
the
get
process.
it, yeah.
Because here I will say half an hour, 1 hour, depends on the machine. Then the burning test could be 2 days.
Yeah.
Power on, power off, music and everything. The final test would be half an hour, and the listening test would be also half an hour or an hour. That depends on the.
Have you gotten any bad shocks doing this work?
Nah, sometimes.
Luckily, it's small enough you can't really get your fingers in there and do something.
Well, here we have 200 volts. Then it's not really something that
you don't want to touch that. Yeah, I built
on this one.
I built a color TV kit once.
Yeah.
It was a color TV kit,
Yeah.
and all vacuum tubes and all
Yeah.
point-to-point wiring. And then when it was done, you had to do all the alignment. And they tell you to put one hand behind your back and
Yes.
one hand in there to do. Don't touch two
Yes.
things.
Yes.
Luckily, I didn't
Yeah.
get shocked because you could have gotten killed.
Yeah.
But
And when we have problems, that's the thing we should be really careful, because actually when we power off, if everything goes fine, this 200 volts goes down very quickly. But if you have a problem and you think that is discharge, and maybe not because the problem is just there,
yes,
then it gets it stays with the 200 volts. It doesn't discharge,
it's the capacitors are holding
and the
onto it.
capacitor rest. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's we had some bad experience with that. Yeah.
So this is the tube DAC, and it's really popular for Nagra. You get volume for the headphone, you get also variable volume for the output, but you can put on fix and have the preamp like the HD preamp or the classic preamp.
Right.
So it's a very good DAC. It's tube with also a transformer that isolate the digital part to the analog part. It's pretty unique.
It's an converter digital. This is the analog part. This is the digital part. This is the analog part. Input and the output, which is analog.
Okay. Thank you, and continued good luck.
Yes.
Watch the 200 volt.
Okay.
So because the production is never really, you don't always have all the parts to do everything. We have a lot of resting place for half assembled, half finished products.
So are you having the supply chain issues that everybody else in the world is having?
Well, yeah, you see, Mathieu is in charge of production, and he can.
He's smiling, so it can't be that bad. But
it's a fake smile.
so you're having the usual production supply chain issues getting parts.
Of course, we have. So we need to get them before the crisis appear. But now we have enough stock to do what we can. But in the future, we will need to find alternative to what we have now.
Yeah. So do you use a lot of microchips in your product? And that's a big stumbling block
Indeed,
right now.
the electronic
microchips.
parts are the difficult ones.
Yeah.
The mechanical are not so difficult because the raw material is not troubling us today, but electronic, as a lot of companies using them are looking maybe alternative. So yeah, for now we are not, but we will need to.
And then the problem is you don't want to stock too much, because that's a drain on your whole financial situation when you're sitting there with all this stuff. But you don't want too little, because then you end up not having products to complete. So
it's a fine line.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
and who makes those determinations? Is that you do that?
No, Mathieu and our CEO would scratch their head, and they're the financial director as well.
Yeah.
And we had situation where we can't build enough for the demand, so you want to stock more, but then if the demand slows down, it's like any company, it's kind of a challenge. It's a small volume production, but anyhow we have the problem of not being too big when we buy components. That's why we're happy that we use a lot of tube technology, though we have microprocessor as well. But some of it could be considered like vintage, so it's resistor, condenser parts that you can still find.
Yeah.
But it's kind of it's kind of the challenge actually right now.
Yeah, and it's a skill that wasn't necessary just a few years ago, when whatever you needed you could get. Now all of a sudden it's...
Well, I think Mathieu before that was purchasing manager, and it's a challenge because we do a lot of custom-made condenser. We do some in US, some in Japan, some in France. And so you always have to find the right partner to do the right job. There are a lot also of fake components. That's something you're familiar with. So you have to be careful where you buy components from. So it was already kind of a challenge, but it got much more difficult right now.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Keep smiling.
Yeah, as usual.
So we are back in the part that we call assembling. So if you don't mind,
turn it off.
Fabien, no, you can shoot the arms or the hands if you want, not the face if you don't mind.
No faces. Okay, sure.
Bonjour Fabien.
Bonjour.
Oh, tonearm.
The light is okay. Yeah, I think
Yeah.
you have enough light. So Fabien has been here, I guess, Fabien, ça fait combien d'années maintenant? Si j'ose dire.
Oh oui, tu peux dire, ça fait 42.
42 years in the company. So she worked with Stefan Kudelski back in the days.
But did she ever think she'd be working on a tonearm?
Est-ce que tu imaginais que tu travaillerais sur des bras de platine un jour?
Non.
Even though Stefan Kudelski patented a tonearm in 72, so it was something he considered doing at the time.
Now, is that silver wire that you have in there? Or?
Yeah, it's custom made by Crystal Cable for us.
Hi, Gabby.
So the
Après tu...
Yeah, go.
ouais, après on sort là, ouais, comme ça.
This carbon fiber arm is sourced from someplace in Switzerland, or?
No, it's made by Andre Theriault, who's been working on the design with us, but it's one we own the design of, and right now it's still made in Canada for the wand.
So it's important to know that it's wood inside, and there's many layers of carbon fiber by end. So it's really like an Italian bicycle, you know?
Yeah, if you go from the inside, there's a carbon tube on the inside, and then there is a wood part, and then on the wood part he shapes the latest carbon part, and it's all in one part to the head shell. It's all in one.
Yeah.
And again, it was really interesting by listening. This one I have 10 inch and a half.
Ça c'est pour le bloquer.
And
oh, c'est la patience.
You have to be strong.
Ah, c'est de la patience.
Et ils t'ont dit le prix du câblomètre?
Oui, c'est très cher. Oui, je dois faire très attention.
She knows how
oui,
much
oui,
it costs to meter this cable.
Oui.
Because when the purchaser saw the price of my meter, he was kind of scared. The toothpick, if you visit a watch company, you will see they use that extensively.
And crazy glue.
C'est de la colle là?
Methacrylic.
Oui, c'est de la colle.
Yeah,
oui, pardon, c'est de la colle. Oui.
Yeah.
Oui.
We call it crazy glue.
Crazy glue.
When I use it, whatever it is I'm trying to glue doesn't get glued, but my fingers stick together.
Oui, c'est de la colle.
so at the end, it's a mono black tone arms. So the rigidity is very, very high, and the resonance is very, very low. So you get a bit more resolution and less coloration.
That's the idea.
And then we put the lids.
That's the fun part. Yeah, that's the fun part.
Justement, le bout.
Oh.
Alors c'est un 4, justement. Donc.
There are never men doing this particular job, any place. Really, this is a job for women. It is, just is. I should get one of those tools. I need one of those tools really badly.
Voilà. Soudure.
It's amazing.
See, she's following the instructions. That's what men don't do. They don't follow the instructions.
Qu'est-ce qu'il raconte?
Il dit tu suis les instructions alors que les hommes ils suivent pas les instructions.
Quand ils sont torsadés 2 par 2.
Ah, ok, ouais.
Et après les deux sont torsadés
go
en
2 by
4.
2 and then
Voilà.
4.
Tu vois, on voit sur le fil.
Salut.
Salut.
No faces?
So same for him, just the hands.
Just hands, okay.
So this is back to the lab part where we do the measurement, the alignments, and this is a classic amp. It's the amplifier of the classic line. So MOSFET amplifier like the HD amp we have upstairs. T'es dans quelle phase là, Yannick?
Je commence.
Donc c'est un passage FPU?
Je fais un point. Non, c'est un débannage.
Okay.
Je fais juste un point de.
So we have typical tip points to check, test points.
So this is a new amp going through its run.
This one came from a checkup. Maybe somebody wants to
Oh, I
a
see.
second
Okay.
hand or a dealer demo. It's a lot of work then because it's actually even almost as much as a new one. And this bench that we have here was built by Nagra. The power supply that you see there, the DC power supply, they were designed by Stefan Kudelski. As a student, he built an oscilloscope. He wanted to have the best tools, and often wanted to make him the tools. He even designed the air conditioning system in the factory. So our colleague who takes care of this part is not here this afternoon, but he left his job so we could see it. This is the first power, it's a lot of tools in there. It's the first power on for the big amplifiers. So when you power such a huge bank of capacitors, you have to take some kind of precautions. So it's a bit like a resuscitating room in a hospital. We have a lot of different points to test before we can make sure everything's good, set the bias. You can see the condenser we use in there.
We have 8 very large Mordov condenser for that amp. So very good reserve.
So when we shut it down, it takes a light bulb and it's on for several minutes to empty the condensers. So that's why Mario was saying first power on maybe is 30 minutes for a simpler product, maybe 1 hour for more complex products like this one.
This is the audio board, so there's nothing else about audio. You go in and out from this, so it's pretty transparent and natural. And the output is on the other side. The classic amp is only 2 MOSFET per channel, and it's mounted on a solid aluminum block, so no resonance.
So this is a brand new amp going through its test.
Yeah, so the HD amp is one that takes a lot of time. And also because of the power, the heat, you have to make some adjustments. So it takes a bit longer to do those products. And the other challenge is it's kind of big and heavy for us. So you need special tools so you don't have to lift it.
How much does this weigh, do you know?
Yeah, it's about 65 kilos, so 150 pounds.
The first 30 watt is in class A. After that you go in AB. But most of the speaker, like the Ale XVX or whatever, you don't really need 30 watt. You need it only when you have very big dynamic in the music. So most of the listening is class A.
Yeah.
So this is Fred.
You can be on camera?
Fred, t'es d'accord qu'on te filme ou pas? Oui.
If I was making this turntable, I'd want to be on camera too, to tell you the truth.
So this is the typical sandwich thing. So you have very thick aluminum with phenolic. So the end result is very, very damp. So floating chassis to be very heavy, so the spring.
Do you have a turntable at home?
No,
No,
not yet.
Gotta get one.
Yeah, maybe.
So you see, for us that we're used to doing miniature recorders, it was kind of a learning curve to get to do those extremely large products.
Sure.
So we had to build special tools and adapt our working techniques.
The control panel of the turntable. So it's kind of a solid block of aluminum that is put together. So
very nice.
This one, the length of the tone arms was also select for sound, but also we really want to have the tone arms on the deck, not outside of the deck with a palette, you know, kind of. So you have the VTA. When you turn like this, you go up and down. So you can fine tune very quickly and by very little if you want. And this is iron plastic because we don't want to have metal on metal. So there's we listen to every possibility.
Can you show underneath what's under the SB? Yeah. So. And you can carry this. This part is very heavy.
Yes.
And you have the anti-skating screw.
It's not there yet. Oh yeah, it is.
Maybe the magnets are not in there. Or?
So it's a magnetic repulsion kind of.
Yeah.
Yes. So this is the tower. So this will floating with the sub chassis.
Yep.
This is all power supply from the classic line. Very big upgrade if you own a regular Nagra 12 volt DC like the TLL, the VPS. It's a super cap. When you compare with sound quality, it's much more dead.
I'm sure. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. This is where we set the speed of the drive part. And so we make sure it works properly and we memorize the right speeds.
This is many parts from the first prototype. We did not keep the cable, all the material did change.
Right.
It's a really old prototype. It's really to adjust the speed.
So now he's putting the posts on.
Michael, if you want to see maybe when we populate the boards.
What is this for?
This is an amplifier board, the classic amp board. And so the CMS are already populated and we do all the ones that go through. So those are relays, for instance. So that is done by hand.
Yeah.
The burn-in part, I mean we have different burn-in split. This one is for digital, so this one is for preamps. We have one for the amplifiers. So it's the beginning of the month, so a lot of them have been shipped. So we're just starting now new batches. So we play music here and we load the amplifiers, we connect everything so that it's almost like a speaker was connected. And we can do that either at the Swiss voltage is 230 volts, but when we ship units for the US, we do them at US voltage, we do Japanese voltage, UK voltage, and we do all the tests at the final destination voltage as well. So the spec that you can see on our document is really your product and at your voltage. This is the small place where we burn the tubes also. So that is 2 days of burning for them.
So you see the difference. This one is not a prototype; it's a final product. So it's the gold board, and compared to the listening room was a prototype. The pot here, it's really like to know where the customer wants the volume. It's nothing to do with the sound. It's really important to know that it's only the transformer, but it is used to know where you want the volume.
Hello. Hello. So because of our history and the 70 years of manufacturing, we handle more than 30,000 different parts, which is too much. But some parts we don't even really know what they were used for. Components.
And this is another thing that many consumers don't appreciate, that when you have a company that runs for this long, you have to have parts for every product that you make, so that consumers, when they buy something, they know that it's supported by the company that built it. It's important.
Our philosophy is to provide at least 10 years after we sold the last one, but some product we still maintain that are from 57, the Nagra 3.
Yeah.
The HD preamp is lower than 150 dB for the noise floor. So every machine is tested with audio precision. So this is the test of that machine. For sure, if you compare to the competition, normally the line will be about here or here. It will be not that low. So we work for
very quiet.
5 years on this. So you reach 160 dB, and it's tube.
Wow.
One of the reasons it is that the gain is negative. So you cannot reach if you have 20 dB of gain of line stage, but the gain is negative. So most of the time you gain dynamic. So it's the transformer make it that you don't choke the signal. So when the signal come in the preamp, you don't lose that signal, and because of the transformer. Usually you choke all the signal with the pot, like a 100,000 ohm pot that you turn down, so you lose 20 or 40 dB of signal to noise. So the design was really different.
So in here, this is the small test room we use to check every single unit that we build and ship. It's not designed to hear for pleasure or to design products, but we have different speakers. We have speakers we can lower without too much damages. So like we've changed the tweeter 12 times. And in here, we have all the different sources. We have analog, we have digital, and we can A/B with regular product from our production that we keep. So we would do a batch of 20 units, come here, plug everything, check the remote, all the in and out, check if everything works, and if there is a problem that hasn't been detected by all the measurements, there's a last chance that you can still hear it. And there's also a visual inspection, and then we go to the packing.
So after all of this, you must have a very low return rate.
Yeah, we do. The only problem in between is the shipping companies that are here to destroy our work.
Yes.
But we have increased the package damping over the years.
Yeah. Yes. Do you have to do drop tests?
Yeah, absolutely. We do that. It's like 1 meter on all. We do it on all the part of the box, so we do it 6 times.
Yeah.
We do that. And it's costly when you do that, like for a turntable or for.
Oh.
But you have to do that.
You have to.
You have to do that. You don't want the customer to do the test for you.
No.
This is the quality that is reject if you find the how you say that?
The defect?
Yeah.
Yes.
Can I find the defect? I don't know. Can
So-
people at
so
home find the defect?
Well, yellow means a question mark. Maybe it's not big enough.
Is it like the bevel there is a little bit off, or?
Possibly. Red would mean it's a defect we can't accept. So you can see there's some kind of line here that is a bit brighter. Like it's not a scratch, it's the chanfrein we call it. The part that is angled is it's a bit too pronounced. You can feel it with your finger. You can see it here. It's too wide.
Well, that's. And who does that visual inspection like
Well,
that?
a gentleman that unfortunately is not here today, and so everybody can put a yellow one or a red one, but he's the only one that can override a yellow and say, well, this is okay, it won't cause a problem.
Yeah.
Or eventually call one of the salesperson. Red, it means it's disqualified. There's no discussion.
Now, is there any fixing of that, or it has to just be scrapped?
Well, sometimes you can actually treat the part, remove all the silk screen and re-brush it, re-anodize it, re-silk screen, re-anodize it. But it's really if there's like a whole patch where I don't know, there's a blur on the ink, or if it's a scratch, it's very difficult to. What's difficult is actually to say that it's something you don't accept or something you accept. And it's a very difficult dialogue with the manufacturers if we don't do it in-house.
Yeah. And they get back, that's nothing wrong with that. That's fine.
It was during transport, or you scratch it when you unpack it. That's why we also do a lot of CNC here as well.
Yeah.
Here it's all new turntable for customers. So this is really exciting for Nagra because we work for many years. There's a lot of partner at dealer, but this is really more for the customer.
And our colleague from the warehouse wanted a paper-free handling of the stock, so it's recycled. It's on plastic, so we can write the different settings. So we don't throw paper every time.
So these are all turntables ready to go.
Yeah.
Is this your first shipment of turntables?
No, but for customer. Yes.
So 6, 9, 10, 11, 12.
Oh well, no, that's one turntable.
Oh, each one of those one. Oh, yeah. 3 boxes. Yeah. Okay. How naive of me.
This is not the turntable. This is the base of every HD product, the HD phono, the HD preamp. So it's to have low resonance, and inside there are sub-button, so you have isolation from the base to the product that kind of have a suspension. Again, when you test the sound of this over without or over spike or anything, you get the bass is no longer in the speaker. It's kind of, you have a really a big sound stage in the bass. So it was a really big improvement.
Can you lift it? Yeah. Not on the. You see, it's really damped.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this goes directly to a dealer first.
Yeah, well, to a distributor or a dealer.
And then he will take it to the customer and unbox everything and set it up.
Well, for the anniversary, that's part of the special project. Yeah. We will send somebody over from the factory, or René will go from Quebec to do the setup. Yeah. And if we don't do the setup, we can just do like a follow-up after a few days or weeks to make sure everything is properly done and aligned. And
because that's critical to getting it sound good, is to have.
It goes that far, and it's also very subtle changes, as you know. So if you don't do it exactly as it should be, maybe you miss a bit. Maybe you don't realize that you miss it, but you miss something.
Yep.
The thing is, with the Nagra cartridge, it will be possible to ship the table ready to play. Like you have to do some assembly. It's about three steps.
You don't send it with the cartridge attached to the head you do. So
we will when the cartridge is available.
Right.
You could, if you want it, then it could come.
Yeah.
And you just.
So I think this is the main thing. It will sound like it should out of the box.
Yeah.
So.
But we'll still come to set it up because that's part of the anniversary deal. Yeah. And part of the anniversary deal is that you have a factory tour. So it's part of the special limited edition.
Wow. So this is your loading dock.
Well, yeah, it's really because the building was like that. We are not big enough that we have so many trucks, but it's comfortable.
Yeah.
And for the suppliers also, or for aluminium, or. The challenge is to deal with the in and out and what stays, and you need a lot of volume for that.
Yeah.
And the more volume you have, the more comfortable it is, and otherwise you have like traffic jams.
Okay, so now we're where you have stock, and this a lot of this is ready to go, right?
Yeah, all those nicely packaged and filmed. They're waiting for the truck to pick them up.
How many countries do you ship products to?
About 35.
35 countries.
Altogether, if we do different businesses.
And does any of this stuff end up getting opened up and taken apart by customs to see what's inside?
Sometimes, or even destroyed by the custom. It also happens. The problem is that sometimes they do it carefully, but they don't properly repack it with the foam or.
Yeah, of course.
Okay, so this is part of a new extension that we did a couple of years ago when we decided to insource part of the CNC machine. One of the reasons was to expand the production capacity. The other one was the quality issues that we had.
Mm-hmm. This is a big place.
Well, Switzerland is big.
The secret sauce section.
A lot of fantasy about that place. That's the winding facility. So you were asking about that earlier on.
Yeah.
And we are doing phono stage transformers today, so you can see how it's done. So it involves a lot of manual operation. So it's very precise job where you have just one chance to do it right. So in here we are inserting the isolation layer.
And there's a counter back there, so you know exactly how many lines you got.
Absolutely.
Plus par là. Ça me fait stresser, moi, ça.
Je fais ça très bien. Ah, t'as fait le premier, t'as fait le bobinage?
Là, j'ai le premier bobinage, mais j'ai encore un transfo vite pour vous montrer le bobinage. Je peux vous montrer juste après, là.
We're gonna start a new one to show you from scratch.
Don't use the word scratch or on anything to do
Oh
with
yeah,
it.
yes, sorry. From zero.
Okay, so it starts with the core.
So it starts with a special component. So it's a very special material. It's not off the shelf. C'est quoi comme fil que tu utilises, Kevin?
C'est du 0,14.
So it's 0.14 millimeter wire. It's a bit like a
hair.
So the first thing we do is to take enough length.
Bon, là, le fil, c'est ce qui arrive avec les fils courts, c'est qu'ils s'enlèvent de l'entraînement du magasin, mais c'est normal.
How long does it take to train someone to do this?
Some years, because they are easy transformer when it's like in and out and it's primary, secondary.
Yeah.
And they are much complex, like the one of the HD preamp. It takes 5 hours to build, and only one of our guys has to do that. So now the right length of cable is in this big ring, and so we can do the first layer.
So first it's preloaded onto that big ring.
Yeah.
The correct amount.
The correct length, and the computer of the machine.
Don't try that at home.
So it was preset for 300 1Es.
And there it is.
And you can see that it's a 360 degree. The spreading is perfect.
Yep.
But even though you use a machine, there's a lot of hand operation, so it takes a lot of time and a lot of skills to do it right.
Yeah.
And you only know when it's finished if it's good or not.
Is that by measuring it?
Yeah.
C'est une partie un peu délicate.
This is the tricky part to insert the sleeves with the right color code.
Ah, je tremble. Ça me fait stresser, vous. Les fils plus les petits et plus c'est dur à mettre dedans.
C'est quoi le plus petit diamètre que tu utilises?
Moi, le plus petit, c'est celui-là.
Okay.
C'est 0,14.
Mais on utilise des plus petits aussi?
Je crois qu'on arrive dans du 0,08 à Dal, il l'utilise.
Some of the transformers require a 0.08 mm wire that they are more tricky to do than. So imagine when you have 14 different windings to do.
You've got a lot of machines here.
Yeah, because they are preset for certain types of transformers, so we save a lot of time. Because setup time takes several hours to set up a machine like that.
Michael, this one is for the preamp, the one with the volume. So the transformer need to do 5 Hz to 200,000 Hz without any phase shift, without any loss. So it's really, really difficult to do. And the one of the HD phono, it's a cobalt input transformer. They need to have the same kind of spec, so you don't hear the kind of weird sound of a transformer. When the transformer don't reach over 60,000 Hz, it really change the sound. So those transformers are really flat.
Et voilà. Beautiful. I'll just take that as a souvenir of my visit then.
You can take it. Shields. At the end of the day.
So all that beauty gets hidden. It's hidden.
It is. It is. As this is a sampler of the kind of things we do here, from the tiniest transformers or coils. It's a very interesting thing to do that in-house, because when you design product and you need a certain coil or a certain, you don't have to take something that has a defined spec. You can do it like you want.
Yeah.
And those are power transformer, those output transformer of the 300B amplifiers that were also made in-house, including multi-wire. So they were done entirely by hand. So it takes half a day to build a transformer like that. So it's a very difficult job. Very hot, very humid, or very, very dry, very cold, minus.
So you can test?
We can test the units in there. Especially field recorders, you want to make sure they work in any condition. And so we use this kind of...
That's interesting. Make sure it works like in jungle environment.
Exactly. We use them sometimes for hi-fi also, when we want to try some specific things. Yeah. Okay, so this is the CNC part where we do the machining of the aluminum plates. We receive the aluminum in large plates, different thickness. Turntable. Salut Gérardo. Tu fais quoi?
La platine.
Et ça, tu vas faire quoi maintenant?
Là maintenant on va lancer l'usinage extérieur.
Okay, so we will now put that here so that it cuts out the external part. Ça pèse combien ça?
Une vingtaine de kilos.
It's about 40 pounds.
Okay. À chacune.
So the machine will check where is the border so that it's not critical to align them. There's a vacuum system that will suck the plates, so you don't have to use external system to hold it. stresse pas pour nous, hein, si tu dois...
Non, mais le brossage, vous l'avez vu?
Non, non, je ne l'ai pas. I'm going to select tool. So what Gerardo is doing right now is to prepare the unit. Depending on the plates we want to do, because of the different thickness, you need different tools. So he's preparing the tools. So this one is to do raw work. This one will do fine details. So different stages, different tools. And the unit can have a certain number of tools, but you need to change them by hand from one batch to the other.
Elle est en train d'enlever celui-là.
So right now the unit is doing this to remove the hedge. That's what we saw.
En fait, ça va donner ce côté-là.
Ah, okay. This is the recess for the front panel. Five to 6 hours.
We're not staying for that. We're not staying for that.
Oh, no. Suction unit that will count the plates. Different stages that we do. So this is the raw material. This is a protection layer when we do the machining. And then after machining, you see it has those kind of lines here. So we have to brush it. And brushing is something we do once it's still a big plate. And this part is done by hand with a sandblaster to do the logo. And at the end of the day, you have this. And this is before anodizing. And after anodizing, it comes to that with the silk screen.
So there's a lot to do that.
Yeah, it's a lot to do. And also the machining it's a process, but then all the rest is actually very tricky and costly to do. And any stage, if you do a scratch, if you drop it, if the anodizing is not done right, the color will change because it's natural aluminum, but could be more silver, could be more brown. And we want the production to be consistent from one batch to the other. And we have our own sanding brushing machine we have here. So you can see we cut out part of the big plate, and we do a first brush, then we'll do machining, and then we'll come back to do the final brush.
Blaster over there.
Well, yeah, this is the sandblasting machine we use to do the logo. So it's kind of so you inject sand like for water, but it's sand, very fine sand, and it's like drawing. You can do the logo thing. We used to do that also for conductivity after anodizing. So once it's anodized, the aluminum is no more conductive. So you need to make small holes so that the whole box is conductive to protect from interferences. Today it's done by laser, but we use that just for the logo.
You're going to throw me off the loading dock. That's what's going to happen. It's going to be really special.
Okay, I'll come in. Be careful with the step.
Ooh, tapes.
Yeah, so this is where we keep our archives. We are lucky to be a partner of the Cloud Foundation, so we also sometimes happen to have some archives from the festival. Sorry. Oops. It's very hard to open. Sorry.
Whoa. Who plays drums?
I do.
Ah, did not know that.
So you know we do recording equipment as well, and we wanted a place to play music, to record music, to try new equipments.
So what machine is this?
This is the Nagra TA. It's the only studio Nagra. All the other ones were portable, and it was used extensively for transfer. It's a dual. It has two capstans, so the tape is very smoothly carried around, so when they had very special archives or black box tape from aircraft, they were happy to have this kind of very smooth transport.
Sure. What year was this from?
Early 80s. And here we have also, and this is a master tape from Leonard Cohen from 1976, I guess, right? From the Jazz Festival. Just a bit of before you go to the concert.
Yeah.
And this is a Nagra D recorder, so it's a digital Nagra. It's on tape, but it's digital, and it's from the early 90s. And it's the first ever high-resolution recorder made. It's a 9624, so in the early 90s it was pretty advanced.
Oh, yeah.
It was used a lot in classical music as a location recorder. A lot of on film sets as well.
Like English patient was recorded with it, and they win a Grammy for sound quality.
The rest of the line here is the classic line, so that's in the other room you have the HD.
Right.
Here we have the classic with the Sacha Doe. We're a big fan of that room as well.
Yes.
Okay.
So my father started with a prototype of a Nagra 1. I found it at home.
Wow.
Yes. Now I make some work for cleaning, organizing the archive.
And there it was.
Yes. I found this in, it was in K1 in his office. And so here you have Nagra 1 finished. And after the Nagra 2, which is an amelioration of the Nagra 1. And in 1957-58, you have the Nagra 3. Here is a prototype. You have no serigraphy, no writing on it.
Yep.
I found it in the K1.
Oh.
Yes, and here the Nagra 3, which was the wow for the industry.
Yeah.
And at this time, the company started to skyrocket because it changed the way in which you make the radio.
Yes.
After was the Nagra 4.
I was involved in film sound when this was being used.
And here you have a split for the cinema with the Nagra 4S. And here, the Nagra 4S allowed us to win Oscars. It was a great moment for my father.
Oh, I'm sure.
Yes, especially in 1978, we went the whole family to US to only my brother could assist to the ceremony, but it was a great moment for my father. And here you have more journalist devices.
Full track mono.
Yes, the Nagra A. It was designed you have all the elements if you need to fix it. The modulomet can use as a voltmet, and here the Nagra ES, which was also a simplified item. And after when my father already left, you have the RSC, which is an interesting device because it's already a solid state
flash drive.
Yes. Here you have the Nagra D, which is also an interesting one. It is the last real device and the first digital. So you have the successor, the Nagra 5 and the Nagra 6 and the Nagra 7. All these devices are full digital. So my father also tried with the Nagra T. It was to make a studio, a high-end recorder for a studio. And here we have also some interesting devices, as he was noticing that the audio recorder were not selling a lot, were more decreasing than increasing. He started to try different devices.
Yeah.
Here it's a night view device, so you can see in the night.
Totally different.
Different, yes.
But a lot of companies face that.
Yes.
As
it was a trail.
Yeah.
Here it was Nagrafax. It is a device which allowed us to get the meteo maps to make weather forecasting, especially for boats.
And what is the Nagra T RVR, a rack-mounted logging recorder?
Yes, it was more a military device. And this one was also interesting because it was a joint venture with Ampex to make a small video recorder, so it allowed us to learn the video component, and it allowed the company after to go in the pay TV system. For information, the VPR4 was like a cupboard. So he reduced the size from, I think, 100 kilo to 5 kilos.
Yeah.
And here we have all what is for the spy service secret.
Yeah, I love that.
Yes, the SN, which was very popular.
So you can get stereo confessions
Yes.
Under stress. That's good.
Good. But it was at first the N and the S. The N was a better quality, and the S, the will last longer. Here you have a system for listening to the SN, because this device has no loudspeaker. And here you have a trail for a cassette. I also found this prototype at home, and here the GBR, which was the successor of SN. And here you have a device where you can listen to what is recorded on the GBR. And after we have CBR, which was the successor. Now we still are in this market, but
really?
In a very discreet way. So we don't show what we are doing.
Oh boy.